Today is February 6th, 2016. Joining us on the porch, live at the Fire and Ice Festival, are Gina Holsopple and Nate Emmons.
The best place for family. What are you waiting for? Where friendships run deeper. Come join us on the porch. So glad you're on the porch.
Hey, welcome to the Fire and Ice Festival, put on by the folks with Warm Up Oswego. It's really cool that we get to be in a different space this year. Hey, my name's Matthew Wood, and I am the host of On the Porch Radio Hour, which is a show that we record every Thursday, typically live from our farm in Palermo. And it's all about supporting local folks doing really cool local things. And usually, I usually get the privilege of explaining how our guests got to our show. It's usually some kind of awesome epic adventure because our show is a pretty awesome epic adventure. However, since we knew we were going to be here this year, for a few months now, we have been scheduling this grand entrance. So we were going to be pulled in by dog sled, and we were going to be pulled up out front, and we were going to be brought in with music and balloons and streamers and all sorts of things. And the dog sled was real slow going because there wasn't any snow, and we didn't plan for that. And usually, I have like tires, and we could have put like marbles or like pipes or something down and rolled over them, but we didn't think that far in advance. And the dogs ended up stopping somewhere around Minetto near the Stewarts. They're like, we've had enough. So we got them some milkshakes, and then we had to hike the rest of the way here on our own, which was fine because we met up with some nomadic folks that live on the river, and they brought us in by an old Erie Canal barge, which they had hidden inside like these vines that grow on the side of the river, the ones like roots and vines and stuff. And they had this Erie Canal barge that was just kind of hidden off to the side. They kind of shipped us the rest of the way, and we climbed up the bank, and I put on my three-piece suit, and here we are. So today, we're going to be hosting the show from here, which is pretty awesome. So thanks for being here. So we have music guest Gina Holsopple here, and we're also going to be interviewing Nate Emmons as well, who's a big part of helping put on this event this year. So we're going to get all of that and many, many other things, but until then, Gina Holsopple, you are on the porch.
Through the eye of a needle to stitch together a broken heart. She rode for years on the back of a camel till desert sands tore her apart. Now the air is finally still and she can see the sun. She doesn't know just where she is. Doesn't know what she's become. She has nothing to lose, nothing to gain, nothing to speak but her own name. She has nothing to give, nothing to take, nothing left of her to break. She has it all. Prayed to a God she didn't believe in, till she forgot what she was praying for. She packed a bag with all her possessions, and then she walked straight through that door. Now the air is finally still, and she can see the sun. She doesn't know just where she is. She doesn't know what she'll become. She has nothing to lose, nothing to
One thing I neglected to mention earlier, which I will mention now, is that not only is Gina Holsopple our musical guest today, but she's also a Sammy nominee for the upcoming Sammy Awards in Syracuse. That's a pretty sweet deal. Gina, what is it exactly that you're nominated for?
I put out an album last year in 2015. It was released in December of 2015, and that album was nominated as one of the best folk albums in the central New York area. So I'm in the top 5, and then the Sammy Awards will actually be given out on March 4th. And then, we'll go from there. But I am just thrilled and really honored to be a part of the top 5, and with some incredible other musicians that were nominated as well.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And Sammy stands for Syracuse Area Music Awards, right?
Music, yeah. It's a play on the Grammys. It's the local version of the Grammy Awards.
Right.
Called the Sammys.
It's called the Sammys, of course. And it's folk. It's in the folk category.
Yep, my album is up for the folk category, which is one of the categories that tends to have the most submissions for.
Right. And you're in the top 5.
Top 5.
That's exciting.
Very exciting.
So even if you don't get the Sammy,
doesn't
top
matter.
5 is pretty sweet.
I am so honored.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, what happened with the new album? Like, how did that come about?
So I'm a part of an online program where fans can plug in and help support the music. It's a really cool way to participate in how the music is created and formed, and a lot of artists use it. It's a crowdfunding platform, and so it's called Patreon. And what I did was I opened it up for anybody who wanted to participate and help make an album happen. They pledged certain amounts, so each month I released a song, and so they helped me fund each song as it was recorded, and I recorded one song a month through 2015. So the album is actually called 2015 because I recorded it throughout the year, and there's 12 tracks. The first track is January, and then it has the name of the song. Second track is February, and so I recorded it in order, and the album has it in order. And it is out now, and it's available for purchase. I have copies here at the Fire and Ice Festival, and it's also available through CD Baby on my website. It will be up on iTunes in the next week or so.
Awesome. Are you still doing the Patreon program, the site?
I am. This year, instead of recording a song a month for an album, I am recording music videos. So if you're interested in being a part of that process, my Patreon supporters are going to help me brainstorm ideas, and I'll be doing online concerts for just Patreon folks. And there's a lot of rewards that you can get, and a lot of cool ways to get involved through my Patreon page this year as well. And I'll be putting out music videos that will go up on YouTube for a lot of the songs on the album 2015, but also some older songs, and hopefully some newer songs too.
Sweet. So as a radio show host, I'm rolling in the green, so I'm going to find a way to support you somehow and your Patreon business.
Thanks, man.
You bet. I'll do enough so that I can be in a video.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. So, Gina, I'm hoping that since you were able to put out a song a month for 2015, and you've been nominated for a Sammy, that maybe you could find it in your heart to give us one more song. Do you have another song that you know?
I do. I'm actually going to sing an older one. It's not on the album that was nominated,
cool.
but it's one that I play a lot. That's won a lot of awards as well. So
awesome. National Award winning and Sammy Award nominee Gina Holsopple.
A little star fell down just an hour before midnight. I closed my eyes as it went out, held my breath, and took my swan dive, and the surface, it got deeper when the deeper came closer, and the sounds I heard were different than the noises that the most heard. So take this space and write me a love letter. Take my hands and tell me stories of the lands we traveled to. Take my eyes, I wanna see you. Take my mind, I wanna be with you for a moment, just a moment. Sunday evening drive, the falcon flies outside my window. A month too long inside, just a word from you and we'll go to a distance that gets nearer when the nearer moves over. So take this space and write me a love letter. Take my hands and tell me stories of the lands we traveled to. Take my eyes, I wanna see you. Take my mind, I wanna be with you for a moment, just a moment. And I get so tired trying to hold these ends together, trying to keep this stride while I wait for clearer weather. So won't you take this space and write me a love letter. Take my hands and tell me stories of the lands we traveled to. Take my eyes, I wanna see you. Take my mind, I wanna be with you for a moment, just a moment. Won't you take this space and write me a love letter. Take my hands and tell me stories of the lands we traveled to. Take my eyes, I wanna see you. Take my mind, I wanna be with you for a moment, just a moment. Little star fell down just an hour before midnight. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Thanks for being part of the show. And now, a word from On the Porch Radio Hour's sponsor. Forget that age-old question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Nobody cares. When we get to the brass tacks of it, what we care about is what chickens provide. And that's 2 wings and 2 drumsticks each. Nobody knows or cares more about this than today's sponsor, chicken wings. Can you believe that only 50 years ago, the chicken wing was the least desirable cut of meat on a chicken? So now, some wing purists refer to the time prior to the 1964 event that led to the invention of chicken wings as BCW, or before chicken wings. Since 1964, there have been hundreds, maybe even thousands, variations for wing sauce, but no matter whether you go with the original buffalo-style sauce or some other version, we can all agree that chicken wings have saved American civilization. We've spoke with some wing enthusiasts to hear their thoughts. Here's one now. Forget the blue cheese. I like mine hotter than a $2 pistol. And there you have it. So no matter where you go, what you do or how you celebrate, do it with chicken wings. The #1 dish served at all Super Bowl parties everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, Enjoy your wings tonight. You're listening to On the Porch Radio Hour. We'll be back after these words.
Here's what's happening in Central New York. The 5th annual CAC Chicken Wing and Microbrew Festival will be held February 12th at Lake Ontario Conference Center. All proceeds from the event benefit the Child Advocacy Center of Oswego County. Visit OswegoWingFest.com for details. The Oswego Music Hall welcomes the Sultans of String tonight and the Little Toby Walker Band on February 20th. The Music Hall also hosts an open mic night on February 19th with Colleen Kataub. And on February 12th, The Hook returns, featuring Gavin Bell with Evan Segroy, Donna Colton with Sam Patarelli, and the Garofalo Brothers. Visit OswegoMusicHall.org for more information. The Fulton Community Theater presents The Mating Game from February 5th through the 14th at Tavern on the Lock. Visit FultonCommunityTheater.org or call 315-592-2661 for more information. Lakeside Artisans in Oswego offers a paint night on February 8th and March 14th at 7 p.m. For more information, call 315-342-8880. The CNY Arts Center presents A Night at the Tonys as part of the 2016 Dessert Theater Series. The first event will be held February 13th. The Arts Center also offers a monthly Writers' Cafe where writers of all ages can come and share their work in a casual setting. For more information about these, as well as other projects and events at the CNY Arts Center, visit cnyartscenter.com. The Wooden Apple Farmstead is home of the Red Room Sessions, a time for songwriters, musicians, and anyone else who wants to build their musical skill and knowledge to get together. We share songs we are working on, bounce musical ideas off each other, and we usually have time to just play a little music. This is a supportive environment where all levels of songwriting and musical experience are welcome. For more information about the Red Room Sessions or other events and projects, visit Wooden Apple Farmstead on Facebook or call 315-591-0711.
So while we're gathering up one of the most busy men here at the festival, I'm going to go over some of the really cool things that are going to be happening here throughout the course of the day. So we're kind of kicking the day off. We had some Irish dancers a little while ago, which were fantastic. So if any of you are still here, a job well done. That was fun. Next, we're going to, well, starting at noon, there's going to be an awesome I Heart Chili Cook-Off, which is happening right out here outside these doors. And we're going to have some really cool things happening up here on stage. Jump and Jive with Jenny. I like the alliteration there. And then we're going to have the magic of Chris Wheel. We're going to have Master Pryor's Taekwondo doing a demonstration. We're going to have Shining Stars with Jenny Gordon. We're going to have a band performance. There's a geocaching treasure hunt that's going to be happening, I think, probably all over the city or something. We'll have to talk about that. And then they're going to be announcing the winner of the chili cook-off. There's going to be all sorts of snow bowling and snowman making. Really? Maybe up north in like Ontario or Saskatchewan or something. But and then later tonight, well, later this evening at 6, we're going to be kicking off some fireworks, which is going to be super exciting. And on this screen back here, you can see right now what perfect timing. Master Pryor's Taekwondo is sponsoring the fireworks, which is really cool. So thanks for doing that, Master Leo Pryor. I am going to welcome up to the microphone Nate Emmons, who's been a big part of organizing this event. So Nate.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the festival and to On the Porch.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you putting the microphone way down, you know.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I'm a shorter guy. I get it. So.
we like to make things dramatic and accentuate people's needs. So yeah.
Well, I think it's a strength of mine, you know.
That's right.
I can get under things really easily. You know, if I was super tall, it might not be as easy.
Exactly. Absolutely. And you get to see things from a different perspective, as do I.
Well, thank you for having me here today.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So when did the planning for this event start?
Well, you know, I think planning really starts almost the day of the festival for next year in some
Right.
respects, because you just start looking at what can you do differently. You already start those thoughts in your head
Yeah.
about the year moving out. Typically, you know, we don't get into really hardcore planning until October-ish,
Okay.
September.
Yep.
And and I've been with the festival now for 4 years, I think.
Wow.
And it always happens that you think you have so much time, and then the holidays hit.
Yeah, right.
And you miss basically a month and a half. And so you're like, oh, it's September. It's not until February. And you
Right.
start your planning, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's January.
Yeah.
And you still have so much more to do. So it's
Yeah.
pretty typical, but yeah, it takes a while. You know, it takes some time to really kind of plan things out and
That's right.
get things organized. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have quite a bit of support in terms of sponsors and people setting up booths and informational stuff out in the lobby. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, and it's technically in its 11th year, and it's kind of changed and morphed over that time, but there has been certainly some folks that have been with us almost probably the entire 11 years. Some folks that have been with us for a long time on top of that, and you know, without our sponsors coming on through, certainly without the vendors that are here today, the entertainers that come on the stage, it's really become such a critical part of the festival. This festival starts out with zero money.
Right.
There's no support from the city necessarily. We don't have some wad of cash laying around. We start really with a zero budget.
Yeah.
And we have to fundraise somewhere around $10,000.
Wow.
And we do that in 3 months.
Yeah,
And
right.
so it's good that we have some sponsors that have been with us for a while. We have some new sponsors like Master Priors, who started sponsoring last year, the fireworks. This is their second year. So we have some great folks that have been with us, either relatively new or been with us for a while, and they really come together to make the festival happen.
Yeah, this is really fantastic. I think probably one of the biggest, most noticeable changes is the change of venue, right?
Yeah. Well, and we had a change of venue last year for, I would say, up until last year and the 7 years previous, the festival's had a strong relationship with the YMCA here in town. And as a result of that, we were in the Armory for most of that time. A little history, 11 years ago, this actually started out as a small business group coming together and wanting to encourage folks to get downtown during the heart of winter to shop.
Sure, yeah.
And kind of warm up Oswego, kind of boiled out of that, if you will. The scavenger hunt is a good example of something that's been around for 11 years.
Yes.
As a part of that. And it actually started out at King Arthur's.
Okay.
Where it was last year. That's where it was for its first year. A couple years after that, it got connected with the Y. It was part of a fundraising effort for the Y in terms of any of the dollars that were left over went back to the YMCA.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we all know the YMCA has undergone some changes over the past 2 to 3 years.
Right.
They have reformulated some things, and as a result, they didn't want to continue to have this be part of their wheelhouse. It was a great relationship. They enjoyed it, but it was just not something that kind of fit what their mission was moving forward. And so with that, and that began last year. With that, we had a change of venue last year to start that kind of separation process, if you will, and it's continued this year. The difference with them this year, the last year, is that the space that we had last year is now occupied by the Children's Museum.
Right.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that not only that space is being used, but it's fantastic it's being used by that group. So with that, we had to come up with a different place. And quite frankly, in Oswego, there's not too many places in town that can hold something like this indoors.
Right.
You know, we have so many things that happen outdoors in the summertime. I don't think folks generally realize that there's really not big spaces indoors during the wintertime. So we had, my wife and I, Lisa, we had worked with Elam Grace last year for our Healthy Baby Expo.
Right.
Had a lot of great success in this space, and I thought this might work out well here in terms of space, and I think it has. I mean, it's a great space. They let us use the entire building, which is awesome. You know, converting this church into, you know, this sort of expo setting. It's just fantastic that they let us do. I mean, basically turn their building upside down.
Right.
And then they have to come in at 5 o'clock and reset the entire thing for services tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
But you know, they've been such a great community partner. They do so many things for the community already. It's just been fantastic, and it's a great spot for it.
Awesome. So give us a quick rundown. I was kind of talking a little bit about things that are happening in here, but you know, there's some stuff happening out in the parking lot.
Yeah,
There's some stuff happening around. Give us a quick overview of what's happening today.
Sure. So in the main area, obviously, is where our vendor area is, and we're having you guys here on the live stage right now, and lots of performances happening throughout the rest of the afternoon here. The performances have really been one of the, I think, key features of Warm Up Oswego for a very long time.
Yeah.
And something that even as the festival has changed and morphed, and it's been one of the kind of the pieces that has certainly been retained. Throughout the rest of the building, we have a children's area. It has our Shining Stars program back there, who's going to be on stage later today. It's a kind of a theater performance group that's starting up, which is that's just wonderful. We have face painting back there. We have balloon making. We have Chris Wheel and his magic. He's doing some stuff for the kids back there. So we had a nice, fun kids play area. We also have the Oswego Fire Department here. They've brought down some trucks and given out some free hats and some other things. So that's awesome, too, that the kids can go on and actually see the truck and get to experience that. The Boy Scouts are here. They're doing a live demonstration outside of some of the things that they do when they go out camping, and certainly doing some fundraisers for themselves as well. Great food vendors, you know, cupcakers, if you haven't had their cupcakes before.
Yeah, delicious.
You know, Amy and her group is just some of the best cupcakes I think I've ever had. Aunt Mary's Italian Kitchen. I mean, Aunt Mary's always around. I think she's everybody's aunt at this point.
That's right.
In Oswego, and she does some great food. There's a group out there from Krause Hospital that's selling candy grams. They're doing a trip to Ghana this summer, and they're doing some fundraising, a medical trip out to Ghana, so they're doing some fundraising for that. So, you know, this festival really kind of incorporates a lot of different groups, and certainly I think really one of the neat things that we've been added this year is Jennifer Mays and her business, Oswego Expeditions. She has started up a great business here in town to really expose folks to the outdoor elements of Oswego.
Yes.
I know she has a historical component to that as well, and some of the tours she's going to start doing. And she graciously agreed to coordinate our family fun run, which I think, I don't know, we had maybe 20, 30 folks participating in that, which is fantastic.
That's great.
Some years we've had 5 or 10, other times we've had 50. So that's, you know, that certainly was a good turnout. And she's also doing, and I have to admit, I don't know a lot about this, but she's doing a geocaching treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Which I understand with geocaching, you got to use your, I think, a smartphone and some other things. You got to find something via some coordinates.
Coordinates, yeah.
And so she's organizing that. I think that's just going to be a fantastic thing. We've done treasure hunts before, you know, with little pieces of candy out in the snow. I think you alluded to this before. We're kind of short on that snow thing today.
Yeah.
People have been asking me, like, well, how are you going to do the snow and how are you going to do the snowman making and stuff? And I said, we're not. Because we've actually done what we were supposed to do. We've warmed up Oswego.
That's right.
You know, so we did our jobs.
Job done.
You know, if we had snow out there, we wouldn't have done our jobs today. So
that's right.
Yeah, we didn't get any snowmaking equipment here, and in the past, actually, we've worked with the city to bring in big snow piles.
Right.
Even when we've had snow on the ground, they brought in big snow piles. Unfortunately, there's no snow piles around either. So.
Yeah.
We're a little short on that one this year, but
that's right.
You know, it's one of those things you take a good with a bad, I think, right? You know, we could have 5 feet of snow, and we could be playing out in the snow, or we could have 50-degree weather. You know,
right.
Whatever a cup of tea is, I think that's where you're going to land on that. So.
Exactly. Nate, thanks so much for being a guest
thank you.
and putting this together. It's been really awesome, and success to you. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for being here today. Very much so.
Absolutely. Nate Emmons and the Fire and Ice Festival. So thanks. It was July 1976 in Tonkahogen. And there was some rumors going around that some young men had decided to scuba dive in Lago de Chaux River. And they were looking originally for what they thought was some freshwater pearls. They were going to dive down and try to find some freshwater pearls. What they ended up finding, though, were several what they referred to as shipwrecks. And there had been folks in the area before that had claimed that that there had been ships that had gone down, but the river's not that big. You know, running through the middle of Tonkahogan, it's not a huge river, but it's pretty deep. It runs pretty fast. And back when the town was originated, there were French and Indian trappers and traders that would travel the river. And being full of mud and silt and sediment at the bottom of the river, there were some theories that it would preserve ships or boats that had gone down. So these young men claimed that they had found some, which brought in a lot of historians and divers and the like. And the first divers to go in were a crew from Cornell University, way down south in New York State, south to Tonkahogan. And this crew from Cornell got their equipment on real early one morning, and they slid into the river. And a group of young men had gathered on the side of the river to see what came up when the young men came up. But what came up with the divers was a surprise to everybody. Nothing. They came up with nothing. They climbed up on shore and they sat bewildered and they looked at little computer screens and photos from digital cameras that they had taken underwater with them, and they swore there was something there, but they couldn't tell. They couldn't get it. So the next day, they went down again. And this time they came up with something. Something that looked an awful lot not like a boat, but like an old casket. An old casket with rusted hinges and 2 locks. When you have something like this, you can't destroy it. You can't just tear it open to see what's inside. You have to be able to preserve as much of it as you can. So gently and softly, they loaded it into the back of their trailer. They said goodbye to the town of Tonkahogan, and they drove back down south to Cornell University, where they carefully carried this casket-looking box into one of their labs, closed the doors, shut the window shades, and went to work meticulously cleaning, picking, everything they could do to preserve it and still be able to open it. The story is that when that casket was opened, you could hear an incredible gasp. In the bottom of that casket were things that nobody ever thought they would see, nobody ever thought they would find again in their physical form. They'd heard stories. They'd seen illustrations. They'd seen leather-bound books from years and years past, but never had anything in hand, nothing physical before. So when the article came out and their scientific theses came out, they shipped a whole manila envelope to the town hall of Tonkahogan, where the chief opened it, read the findings, opened his safe in the basement, put the envelope inside, closed his safe, and never said a word. Now, of course, there's people that know about this, and members of Tonkahogan's community that read these scientific articles, especially because they knew that this group of Cornell students had been down there and that they'd found something. Everybody watched them bring it out. But why would they never find out what it was? Why, even in the scientific articles, did they only allude to things that it could have been? And so now the only people that know exactly what was in that casket that they drug out of the bottom of Tonkahogan's Lago de Chaux River, there's only a few people that know about that. There's only a few people that know what that was. And so as you walk the shores of the river, as you listen to the waves licking over the rocks, as you watch young men and women see how long they can hold their breath and dive to the bottom of the river to see what they can drag up. And you listen. If you listen late at night, right before the sun breaks the horizon, when the birds stop singing and the animals stop walking and the wind stops, because there's that moment where everything goes still and silent. No matter how hard you try to breathe, you find yourself holding your breath, and you find yourself listening to that water, and you wait for that pause. And as that moment of absolute silence happens, you know from the bottom of the river, those secrets are there, and the souls and the memories and the stories of the people that are connected to those secrets, they're there too. And in that moment of absolute silence, you can hear them break into harmony. This is my home. This is my only home. This is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. And should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Hey, thanks for coming to the event today. You've done it. You've succeeded in making it to the end of another episode of On the Porch Radio Hour. And I want to thank all the folks that had us come. I want to thank Nate Emmons and Gina Holsopple for being on the show, and I want to thank Nate for helping schedule this event, helping schedule us to be here, be part of the festivities at the Fire and Ice Festival. It's a really cool space to be. It's a neat stage to be on. It's really cool to look out and see all the people walking around and smiling and chatting. So thanks for being here. And thanks for going to www.ontheporch.weebly.com, where we have all of our past shows. You just go to that website, you click on the Watch and Listen tab, and you can listen to any show we've recorded. And we're reaching our 50th show, so that's going to be a lot of fun, too. Every Thursday night, we record live at our farm out in Palermo. Come and talk to us, and we will get you all sorts of information. Upcoming guests that we're going to have on the porch include Kenzie Chapman, Jesse Niotti, Jess Tetro, Kyle Osmond, Greg Rossblock, Lisa Emmons from Mother Earth Baby and Emmy's Closet, Heather Plyler from Soul Hooping, who's here today. So thanks for being here, too. And we're going to be presenting you the Seussical Junior Cast from the CNY Arts Center. They're going to be having a performance starting in April, doing Seussical the Musical at CNY Arts Center. Stay tuned, keep paying attention, and we'll see you on the porch. And until then, peace to your journey.
On the Porch is a production of the Wooden Apple Farmstead with host and writer Matthew Wood. Our musical director is Gina Holsopple. Our stage manager is Ray Monet. Our sound technician is Maxwell Wood. This week's guest sound technician is Nate Emmons. This week's show is recorded live from Warm Up Oswego's Fire and Ice Festival in Oswego, New York. This week's guests are On the Porch Radio Hour's musical director, Gina Holsopple, and Warm Up Oswego organizer, Nate Emmons. Find information about past shows, being on the porch, and much more online at ontheporch.weebly.com.